What is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for coming back today. Thank you so much for just taking time out of your day just to click on today's video. You know, a couple weeks ago I posted a video of times where Hollywood just waited way too long to make a sequel. They did not capitalize off the success of the original right away, and kind of the magic had kind of floated away. So I got some good feedback from you guys, so I decided to make a part 2. I'm still ciphering through all the messages of trying to compile another list for part 3, so don't worry. If you drop me a suggestion, I will try to have it in my part 3. So let's go ahead and get into it today. I have 3 movies where I thought Hollywood just waited way too long to capitalize on the success of the original one. First up today, we have 1993 Hocus Pocus. Now, critics hated this movie when it first came out. Audience, we loved it. You know, the audience score for Hocus Pocus is sitting at a 72. If you don't know the story of Hocus Pocus, all is fine in Salem until the Virgin Max lights the candle that brings back the Sanderson sisters. Their main purpose is to suck the souls out of all the children in the town so that way they can live and make themselves younger and live forever. You know, is it an over-the-top Oscar-winning performances? No. Was it fun to watch? Yes. You know, the success of the original one still lives on today, where they still air the original one every Halloween, where you can still watch it, you can still find it, you can still find toys, you can still find people dressed up as the Sanderson sisters for Halloween. Also, too, about Hocus Pocus, for the longest time, I thought the cat was named Zachary Binks, but it's not. His name is Thackeray, and that blew my mind. But 2022, you know, we got Hocus Pocus 2. It was 19 years after the original one was released. This time around, the audience did not like Hocus Pocus 2. The critics loved it. So it's kind of weird how that flipped and how the ratings and dynamics switched around. I think when they set out to do the sequel, they wanted to do a fresh storyline for a younger audience. But that wasn't the audience that made this movie as popular as what it was. You know, I feel like there was some way, somehow, we could have found a way to bring back Thackeray Binks. I feel like there's a way that we could have had Max somehow in the town, his sister somehow in this town to get involved in this. That would have brought the old generation along with the new generation together, and everyone could have enjoyed Hocus Pocus 2. But I feel like it fell short on a lot of different things. I feel like they made the movie for the wrong generation of people whenever you should have tied both storylines together and then had something moving forward where you could have done a part 3 where parents and children are both excited for part 3. But it's kind of dead in the water for me. I'm not excited for anything going forward with Hocus Pocus 2 until I see something as far as them revamping the script. Number 2 on my list. Man, I already know it. I'm going to get a lot of hate in the comments, and I'm prepared for that. I went back and rewatched both movies just to make sure that I didn't get it wrong, and I still feel 100% the same way. But number 2, I have Anchorman 2004. It is holding an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes right now as we speak. You have Judd Apatow, you have Adam McKay. The storyline was so good. This movie was so funny to me. I will say this now. This movie was, I don't remember another time for many years later where I laughed so hard in the theater watching this movie. At the time, I thought Will Ferrell was just pure gold. Coming off Saturday Night Live, I thought nothing was funnier than Will Ferrell. Every movie he did was just rolling laughing for me. And I thought the cast that came together for Anchorman was just brilliant. If you don't know the story of Anchorman, it follows Ron Burgundy, this news anchor that, is just dominating the news. Whenever they're trying to integrate a female into the newscast that is mostly dominated by males. You have Veronica Corningstone who comes in there. Ron and Veronica fall in love. It kind of mixes things up. It makes for a funny script, makes for a funny story to play out. I actually thought it was tremendous. I loved it. So whenever I heard they were making a part 2, I was super excited. So 9 years goes by. We get Anchorman 2. I was super excited about it because, like I said, the original was one of the greatest comedies for me at the time. You had Judd Apatow, you had Adam McKay, you had the original cast coming back, you were adding some characters, some funny characters too. Kristen Wiig was coming on. I was super, super excited for this movie to come out. It came out, I watched it, went to the theater, and I don't remember laughing that much. So I thought, you know what, I will go back and rewatch this movie just to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Basically, the story of Anchorman 2 is Ron and Veronica are this huge success. They think they're getting promoted to the nightly news. Veronica gets promoted and Ron gets fired. But the movie takes off with Ron working various jobs just as an alcoholic, doing these different stuff that he's doing. He finally gets an opportunity to get back on the news, but it's on like the graveyard shift. He gets the old gang back together and he gains back his success. I know a lot of Will Ferrell movies where you'll see reels of him just cutting different improv scenes where he will do different scenes and they'll take the funniest one. I feel like Anchorman 2, what they did is they did one scene and that's the scene they went with. They didn't try any other scenes like, no, we got it. No, don't do a scene 2, we got it. It seems like with this movie they relied very heavily on racial and gay stereotypes to make this movie through. And it just wasn't that funny. I feel like every scene they did went on a little bit, like 5 minutes too long. Like, they could have cut out every, like, long scene, like 5 minutes early, and it probably would have been a lot better. But I was severely disappointed with this movie. Of course, like I said, I'm prepared. I'm ready for it, for you guys to come defend this movie. There's a lot of people out there that love this movie. Again, like I said, it has a 53 on Rotten Tomatoes, so obviously there's people that love this movie, and there's people that hate this movie. I was just not I guess I was built up way too much as far as the sequel. I should have went in with low expectations or no expectations whatsoever, and I would enjoy this movie. The only thing I have to say about Anchorman 2 is it did not work 60% of the time, every time. But guys, before we get into the third one, the best way to help support me, I would greatly appreciate it, is hitting the thumbs up button down below. If you're not a subscriber, you can quickly become one. Just hit the little subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Outside that, hit that little bell notification and select all, and then YouTube will notify you anytime that I upload a new video. But let's get into number 3. Again, I'm prepared for this one. I went back and watched it. I watched the sequel. But in 1988, Eddie Murphy, coming off the success of Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, we were given Coming to America, holding a Rotten Tomatoes score of 85. Now, this movie, comedy gold. But if you don't know the story, it's an African prince who escapes this arranged marriage. He goes to America. He poses as a foreign exchange student, starts working at McDowell's. That's not McDonald's, that's McDowell's. McDonald's has the Big Mac. McDowell's has the Big Mick.
See, they're McDonald's. I'm McDowell's. They got the golden arches. Mine is the golden arcs.
The storyline was great. And also, too, this was Samuel L. Jackson's first feature film that he was ever in. So, without Coming to America, we would have never been introduced to Nick Fury and those damn snakes on the plane. This one was very hard because I was very excited for this one because, like I said, I did love the original. But you have 33 years later, you have Coming to America 2. Right now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's holding a score of 34%. This was recommended by one of you guys, so I decided to go check it out. I had not watched it because I had felt like it was going to be a little silly. But you know what? I was like, I got to get a fair assessment of this, so let me go check this out. One thing I got to say about this movie is I do love that they just continued the story. They brought back a lot of the originals. One thing that I hated about this movie is I thought it was very lazy writing just to include and do all the bits with all the originals. It was just like every time you turn around, they were doing something from the first movie. And it's like, oh yeah. After a while, it became like, okay guys, I get it. Like, that happened in the original. Let's go on with the story. The sad part about it is I do think they had a good script, but they spent way too much time doing callbacks and throwbacks to the original that it took away from the good storyline they had. If you don't know the story of Coming to America, Prince Hakeem must find an heir to the throne. He had 3 daughters, but he finds out that he has a bastard son in America. So he must travel to America and convince him to come back and prove himself worthy to become the rightful heir to the throne. Like I said, the execution of this movie was way off for me. You would have a little bit of story dialogue that would progress the story, and then you'd have a throwback, and you'd have a scene where it was something from the original, which again is fun, but you don't need that many scenes. I definitely think they needed the barbershop scene, but there were so many scenes that you didn't need that they kept throwing in there that just would set the script back, and then you'd have a little bit more that would progress it, and then you'd have just a whole section of just throwbacks to the original. And honestly, too, with a lot of the throwbacks to the original, I felt like it was kind of, at a certain point, kind of insulting to the original. Like, leave the original alone, make your own storyline, and then go from there. But there you have it, guys. That's 3 examples I have of times where just Hollywood just waited way too long to capitalize on the success of the original one. But I'm curious to hear from you guys, which one of these did I get completely wrong? I'm curious to hear from you guys, so drop me a comment down below. If you do want to follow me over on Instagram, I'll have it right here on the screen below. I'd appreciate that. That's all I have for you guys today. Mom, I love you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys. Hey, if you want to watch another video, click here. If you want to subscribe, click over here. As always, thanks for watching, guys.